Welcome back. In your health news this morning, a women's history edition here. Research shows women are the queens of multitasking, but many of us are fighting some burnout, chronic fatigue, depression, and anxiety without addressing it. Joining us right now is Tori Dixon, a counselor and the owner of Graceful Journey Counseling. Good morning to you, Tori.
Good morning, Cleo. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Glad to have you here. Tell us more about this burnout and why women really struggle to deal with it.
I think one of the biggest parts you mentioned it is that multitasking that we tend to do more often than not. And the best way that we can handle that is by making sure we set boundaries with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that is, we have a clear understanding of both our capacity and our capability. That's how much we can do, and that's actually what we can do. And oftentimes, when we mix those two things up, if we don't have the capacity to do something, it then goes into us feeling as if we're incapable of doing it. And what just need to do is slow down a little bit, hone in on the things that we do well, and we should do those things more often.
Exactly, and sometimes it's easier said than done. Let's talk about emotional equity, Tori. What does that really mean? And then how do we invest in ourselves?
Emotional equity is basically, where are you putting your emotional energy? How much of your emotional space and your mental health space are you putting into one task versus another? Now, this is often going to require us to make sure that we're doing a really good risk reward analysis of our emotions, right?
Hmm.
How much are we putting in places where we're actually getting a benefit from it, so that not only are we better for ourselves, but we're also better for the people that are around us? Oftentimes, we see that our emotional equity is best placed when we are taking care of other people. But I always say there is no substitute for taking care of yourself. You cannot take care of other people in some way to substitute your responsibility to look after your own well being.
Oh, wow. Yes, Tori. Research shows that a lot of women right now, we're multitasking, of course, and we're doing a lot of things right now, and we may not be in the spot that we always dreamed of ourselves to be. How do we nurture that dream?
The first thing I want to tell us as women is you need to be intentional. First, you have to be intentional with your time. Listen, all we have right now is now, this very moment.
Yeah.
So you have a responsibility to cultivate the life that you want right now in this moment. The problem is that if we look too far ahead, we run into anxiety. And if we spend too much time on the past, we end up running into depression.
Ooh,
The
good,
second
good.
thing,
Very well said,
yeah.
Tori. Yes. And how do we deal with, I guess, stretching ourselves too thin and maybe learning to say no to something and not feeling bad about it?
One of the greatest artists is Shaka Khan, right? She told us
Yeah.
that we were every woman, and it was all in us, and everything that we wanted, we could do it naturally. And guess what? That's not really true, right? We are not every woman. We are just the women that we are. And
Yeah.
the best way that we can show up in our lives is to show up in your own life, to maybe resist comparison, resist looking at other people's lives and wishing and hoping that that was your life. The best thing you can do is quiet the noise, get within, and be your own woman. Stay in your lane and do what you do best.
Okay, I'm loving that too. Quiet the noise, stay in your lane, and do not compare. Okay, good reminders this morning. Tori, let's talk about work-life balance before we go here, because that's really different for every woman. And I don't really think
Yeah.
we should judge how women define that for themselves.
We certainly should not. I think, especially when we're raising children, that seems to be the most competitive thing that's happening right now. Like, how well are you as a mom, and what does this look like, and what does that look like? The one thing that I always say, Cleo, is that we have a responsibility to have a life work balance instead of a work life balance. The aforementioned gives us an opportunity to prioritize our lives first. We should not be squeezing the depth and the breadth of our lives into work schedules. We should be cultivating and creating lives for which our work can fit well into it. That way, we find more purpose in the work that we do. Again, that way, we are being better stewards over our emotional energy, and we are prioritizing the things that work best for us. Our families and our homes, they need to be safe havens. They need to be places where we can come to as a refuge. And when we don't have enough time to create those spaces, we end up running out of an energy, and we can't show up as our better selves in our workspaces. So I think the best way that you in advancing your career, or if you want to be a business person, the best way that you can do that is to cultivate a life that allows your work to fit within a space that is emotionally well for you.
Well, amen. Amen. Tori Dixon, owner of Graceful Journey Counseling, thank you so much for joining us again this morning. We'll be sure to put your information on our website at WFA.com. Such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Cleo, and happy Women's History Month to you. I'm
Thank
so honored
you.
to do
Same to
Women.
you.